Today on the Golden Domers Report, we will be recapping the good, the bad, and the ugly from number 14 Notre Dame's 2023 campaign.
By Samarza, inside the 20, inside the 10, he's going in! Notre Dame has scored!
Go! You will be that driving force to motivate those coaches and those players to beat Southern Cal.
Notre Dame is relevant again.
The 20, the 10, by rocket touchdown.
Notre Dame is number one.
It's a game of who's going to flinch first. We know that it won't be Notre Dame.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Golden Domers Report. I'm Landon Traylor, joined by Dylan Kearns, Logan Traylor, and JR and his bobblehead. Well, Notre Dame, they finished number 14 in the country in the official AP poll that dropped today, this morning, as of January 9th, the Tuesday. They finished the season 10-3 and Tony the Tiger's Sun Bowl champions. It was their sixth 10-plus win season in the last 7 years, the first under Marcus Freeman. A lot more talent in 2023, but one game better than 2022, which you look at that 2022 team, it was a 9-4 year, an 8-4 regular season, a 9-4, obviously winning the bowl game. We won our bowl game, we got to 10 wins, and we built momentum heading into 2024. And now it is time to take a look at the good, the bad, and the Dylan. All right, so we're looking at it here, week 0. All right, week 0, it was cool. It was a cool week in Ireland, a 42-3 win over the Navy midshipmen. Let's never do week 0 again. And if we do, let's use our bye weeks a little more strategically, please. I thought, playing 8 straight weeks, nobody else in the country played 8 straight weeks this year at any point into college football season. And we had to make a trip and I know a lot of people say, oh, it's an excuse. That trip from Ireland all the way back home, it's not an easy trip. You're playing from overseas, come back, you get ready for Tennessee State at like 2:30 in the afternoon. So let's never do week 0 again, I feel. If we do, let's use our bye weeks a little more strategically, Logan.
Yeah, obviously, the university has more control with that than the football program. But I think we talked about this multiple times, especially after the losses of, especially Louisville, that loss.
Mm-hmm.
You sit there and you reflect on what went right, what didn't. You have Ohio State beat. It should have beat them. I believe that team, goes to Duke, gets a win, and keeps winning. I think with that loss kind of derailed any program momentum going into that, stretch with, OSU, Duke, Louisville, and then USC. Or was it Clemson?
USC.
No, USC. Yeah. So I think, it's different, right? Like as a Notre Dame fan, the stigma has always been you get blown out in big games. You don't show up in big games, and, rightfully so, right? But, this year you can say that there's progress and we are moving in the right direction. However, it's still not good enough, and I think all 4 of us would agree with that. Maybe I've been a little more optimistic, than everyone else, right? Guilty as charged, but I'm just as frustrated watching last night, with Michigan and JJ McCarthy not being the best quarterback in the country, or even a top 5 quarterback in the country, but their offensive line and their defensive line just dominating that game like a Notre Dame team would.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some things to figure out. I'm not going to sit here and bash on them completely, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm really pleased with how the season went, because obviously it needs to get a lot better in a short amount of time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And moving on here to week number 1, we played our first ever FCS HBCU team in Tennessee State and won 56-3. It was a cool moment for both of these programs. Tennessee State obviously coming into one of college football's cathedrals, playing a brand like Notre Dame, and then of course Notre Dame playing an HBCU. You know, that's obviously it was really really cool to see all that, the culture bringing in that the HBCU culture coming into Notre Dame Stadium. There was a lot of Tennessee State fans. We got to see their Grammy Award winning band play at halftime. They got to take the field at Notre Dame Stadium. So all out, it was a great moment for both programs. And obviously, you know, the outcome was what it was. But overall, Dylan, it was a good moment, significantly for Tennessee State than us, but still a good moment.
It was, and it gave us some momentum. Looking at that point of the year, you're looking at week 2 or week 1 where we're at. Like, that was 2 straight weeks, and I knew they weren't like amazing offenses we faced, but 3 points allowed in back-to-back games. I was feeling very confident in our defense heading into NC State. Then, of course, we had that crazy weather game there. But yeah, it was really cool for Tennessee State to kind of get that in. I kind of hope we stop scheduling cupcakes like that. I want to be a hard-ass football team. And in order to be that, you have to play with some testicular fortitude against some good football programs. Let's be honest, Tennessee State ain't moving the needle. Let's stop scheduling these cuppies.
Very true. JR, I like that. JR likes that as well. You know, I kind of like it. If you're gonna do it early do it early in the season. You know, I do it week 1, you know, schedule those games week 1. Now, I'm not in favor of doing that FCS stuff. I would rather schedule a low-end MAC school or a low-end high-end MAC school, or you know, an American team, one of those, you know, group of 5 teams, or just, you know, non-power 5. Nonetheless, we went to NC State in week number 2 and walked out with a 45-24 win. And now looking at our schedule down the line here, that's our best win of 2023. Just how NC State kind of turned their program around this year. They went 9-4, which that is obviously on the win total. That is our best win record-wise. And then, you know, they beat Central Michigan week 3. And then it all started to unfold. We hung in there with Ohio State. We went down 10-0 in the first half, at the half actually. And then we took a 14-10 lead in the fourth quarter. And everybody in that stadium, including myself, thought we were going to win when we got that stop that we needed on 4th down. We take over, and we have the ball with just over a minute left in the ball game, and we lose 17-14. JR, you know, a lot of people say that was the loss that really defined the season. I gotta say, I don't think that really is the loss that did it for us this year, JR.
I would agree with you. I think those flaws would have found themselves and reared its ugly head somewhere else down the line. We are who we are, you guys, and some unfortunate things took place in that game. And everybody wants to bang on Parker, but I don't think Parker was the problem necessarily in that game. He put us in a spot to actually win the game. Now there were some calls late, that screen pass before Ohio State got the ball back, and you know, I think 44 broke it up, and but you know, we were in position to win that game, but our flaws, we were going to be exposed one way or another. As I relate Notre Dame to Michigan, I know you guys are down on Michigan being national champs, and Harbaugh. I am actually a Harbaugh fan. I have been for a very long time. I think he is an excellent football coach at any level. Absolutely. And I think he has validated Freeman's plan. I think Freeman understands that football is still football. You still got to win the line of scrimmage. You still got to dominate the game physically. And you'll give Michigan credit. this whole sign stealing thing, everybody thought that was going to make a big difference. Okay, whether you think they cheated or not, the scope of it, was wrong, whatever. They got caught. You would have thought they got even more dominant. They said, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. And that's where we need to get. And I think our coach understands that. Can he put everything else around him to manifest that on the football field? We're going to see. Year 3 has always been the critical year in the Notre Dame kind of hierarchy and success. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But I agree. I'm with you. I don't think that Ohio State game was the defining game of our season. It certainly would have helped to have won. But listen, those were both 2 flawed football teams, and we saw that play out over the course of the entire season. Ohio State is flawed in many ways. I think they have bigger problems than we do, to be honest. But we are flawed as well, and hopefully our coach is putting in the right pieces and people in place to rectify all the problems that we have. But that's another chapter that'll be written on another episode of GDR in the first episode of 2024. Is that correct, boys?
That's it. Oh, no.
Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Second.
Go Irish.
First year for you.
No.
First for you.
For me.
Yeah.
No fun. I'm always late to the party. That's all right.
No fun for you, Frenchie. And then after the Ohio State loss, Notre Dame sleepwalked at Duke, but won 21-14. Ooh, it would have been a bad loss looking at it now. Duke finished the year 7-6. That would have been a horrible loss if it wasn't for Sam Hartman getting that 4th down. And then, of course, Audric Estime winning us the game. And then we were just flat out, I'm going to say it, dominated at Louisville in all aspects of the game in the 4th quarter. From the line of scrimmage standpoint, all game. From a point standpoint, just the 4th quarter. 33-20 in our 7th straight game and 3rd straight night game. We were unprepared for that road game. I think, Duke was a good atmosphere. Heading into Louisville, a bigger stadium, that place was rocking, absolutely rocking. We were unprepared for that. There was just a lack of energy in that ball game that we saw. And they just, we usually see Notre Dame. They have that, I hate to say it, they have that dog. They have that grit. They're ready. They're pumped up. There was none of that. There was nobody jumping up and down. There was nobody running down the sideline. It was just all lethargic. They were just lack of energy in that Louisville game. But hey, we bounced back after Louisville and exposed USC for what they are and beat them 48-20 to go into our very first bye week, 6-2. So after the bye week, into the bye week, we're 6-2. We're thinking New Year's Six Bowl. After the bye week, we beat the living piss out of Pitt, 58-7. I mean, Pitt. You guys know how I feel about Pitt. Go ahead.
We know how you feel about Narduzzi.
Yeah, well, Pitt. I just hate Pitt, but I also hate Pat Narduzzi. I'm not a big fan, but nonetheless, we beat them 58-7, and then we traveled to Clemson, South Carolina, to face a depleted, dying Clemson team, and for some reason completely abandoned the run game after the very first drive. Got down 24-6 very early in that game. Fought back, made it a game, had chances to tie, 6 of them specifically, and lost 31-23. Saved Clemson's season. They won out after that. Thanks to Tyler from Spartanburg as well for saving Clemson's season. And then, you head into senior day. Sam Hartman beats his old team 45-7. Hooray. And then we go into our second bye week and dominate Stanford after a brutal start, 56-23.
Hooray.
Yeah, hooray, Sam. You beat your old team. Nice job. Hooray. Nice. Well done.
Congrats, jackass.
Yeah. Here's a cupcake. So With that being said, of course, we blew out OSU. I wish we could say the real OSU, but it was Oregon State, 40-8 in El Paso, Texas, in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. So overall this season, we scored 367 points in the regular season wins. The lowest was 21 at Duke. Now, we scored 57 points in the 3 losses, the lowest being 14 against Ohio State. Dylan, did you raise a hand?
I did, but you touched on it a little bit. I was going to say like 40 plus points in 9 games this year. 9 of our wins, we scored 40 or more. That's a great stat.
It's the most in Notre Dame history. If my fact check is good.
You're right. You are right. You are correct. And we scored 57 points in those 3 losses, the lowest being 14. The defense allowed 118 points in the 9 regular season wins. The most was 24 at NC State. They allowed 81 points in the 3 losses, the most being 33 at Louisville. Louisville, that game was a little tricky. They scored 10 points off of 5 Notre Dame turnovers. The defense gave up 3 really big touchdowns. The 2, obviously, the big runs that they had, and then the first play or the first drive of the game for Louisville was a passing touchdown. At Clemson, there was a pick 6, there was a muffed punt, there was a bad punt, and the defense gave up essentially just 2 long drives of 80-plus yards that Clemson started with a touchback. We had to make Clemson drive, and they did. They scored twice when we made them. However, the defense or the special teams and the offense really put the defense in a tough position that entire game. So I think the defense was the backbone the entire season for the Fighting Irish. If they struggled, we struggled. If they started to fall asleep and slow down, as we saw at Louisville, get tired, wear down, as a team, we started to wear down as well. Offensively, listen, it was a fun offense to watch. We scored a lot of points this season. 367 points we scored in the 9 regular season wins. It was fun to watch. We had a lot of exciting plays. It was just very inconsistent. I would have loved to see the offense show up it showed up a little bit against Louisville. I actually was okay with the offense against Louisville up until the 4th quarter. However, I would have liked to see the offense show up a little bit more in those 3 big games. So with that being said, we will move on to Logan. Overall, just final thoughts on 2023 before we can finally turn the page and just move on.
Could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot worse.
Like that Duke loss, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, you made a good point. We had a really good defense, and you could say we missed opportunities this year, which we did. But you look at those 3 losses. Our defense was consistently put in a bad position in those 3 games. Louisville wasn't. It was tied at half, 7-7. You give up 7 points and a half. Clemson, you force 6 straight 3 and outs, and your offense can't, gather, can't get a first down. And then, Ohio State. That one you could probably argue and say, that's on the defense, but more or less, I think it's more on the coaching than it is the defense. But you have the opportunity to, DJ Brown to, pick that ball, make the play that Michigan made, or you can count to 11 and make sure you have 11 guys on the field for, the biggest play of the game. But other than that, working on our counting this off season, making sure that, we can consistently count to 11.
Now I know my ABCs. Win, beat OSU.
And feeling good. I think the program over the last month or so after a depleted wide receiver room has gained an enormous amount of momentum that I didn't foresee coming. Whether it was with coaching, whether it was with kids staying, transfer portal, and recruiting, all of that just tied in together, creates excitement around this team and around this program that we all should be excited for. But at some point in time, you have to produce on the field. And 10-3 in a Sun Bowl game, isn't good enough. And I would argue, going into next year, if you're top 12 and you lose your first game, it's not good enough. It's about that point where you need to start making sure that you're just not competing to be ranked, but you're competing for a national championship consistently. So I'll pass the baton, but those are my thoughts. Very subtle, taking emotion out of it after the Michigan Wolverines are national champions of 2024. I will give JR credit before I pass it to him. I think it was either our first or second episode. It was probably our second because it was after week one. Loved that Washington team, complimented the Washington Huskies really early on. So give some spotlight to GDR on some pretty damn good analysis right there.
Absolutely. JR getting all the credit. Won the picks, picked Washington, or took Washington early, or foresaw Washington early. So, hey, JR, the king of GDR this year. But Dylan, before we get to the king, we'll stick with Dylan here. 2023 final thoughts before we turn the page.
On Notre Dame or college football?
Notre Dame. We'll get to Michigan and the college football aspect when I'm done with my segment here.
I got a new nickname for JR. It's GDJR. Okay. Like GDR, but it's Golden Dome or John Richards. He knows what he's talking about. He's done great things over there. Looking at the Irish, once again, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't have a sour taste in my mouth. I wanted more, I wanted more from this team. I had high expectations. Once again, I get super high up on the roller coaster and it comes tumbling down when I didn't want it to come down. So that's just how it goes being a Notre Dame fan. Hopefully they fix some things, athletic director change, some coaching staff changes. I'm excited for next year. I think the schedule's more beneficial to their success, but if they find ways to lose, I'll be more disappointed next year than I am this year and probably scream very loudly.
Please don't on the show. Please do all screaming away from the microphone. But JR, 2023, 10-3, Sun Bowl champs.
Yeah, none of it's good enough until we win a national championship. That's the bottom line.
You're right.
That's about all I've got. I don't like to talk about the man because I hate to say I was right about Brian Kelly, but I certainly feel better about the direction of Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman than I do if Brian Kelly were still the head coach at Notre Dame. That has me excited. So going forward, year 3, certainly the first 2 years from a historic perspective have been a wild success compared to some of the other Notre Dame coaching legends. He won probably more games in his first 2 years than any of those coaches combined. Not combined, but, in their first 2 years combined. So he's won a lot of games, but he inherited a program that was in pretty good shape. So now we got to take that next step, and he's identified some of those problems. I think that was my biggest concern moving forward with Freeman, was identifying the problems and having the stones to make the right hires. Now, does he have the backing from the university? We'll see. Denbrock coming back, you guys, I'm sure, touched on that a lot. That's a huge get. That says a lot about the university, that hire. That says a lot about Freeman. That says a lot about Kelly. That says a lot about LSU. So moving forward, I'm excited for what comes next, but we've got no time to waste because we immediately go to College Station and face the 12th man.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of history between Notre Dame and A&M. Some I was alive for and watched, and they were an integral part of that 93 controversy. We played them in the bowl game, so they're going to be riled up. Yeah, they're going to be riled up. We've got their coach's old quarterback.
Yeah, we do.
He hasn't played in a while. Who would have thought that Duke game, we kind of got a glimpse into the future? I liked what I saw from Angeli. I don't think you make that move with Riley Leonard to be not the quarterback. So let's go Irish. I'm excited. I'm thankful. I'm very thankful to you guys for allowing me to come on the show and have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. This has been great. I can't wait to see it continue and to evolve and to see you guys, grow. And I'm a lot older than you guys. Dylan, you got your thing going on. Landon, you got your thing going on. Logan, we share a lot in common ourselves on and off air. So thank you guys. I want to say that.
Thank you, JR. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you. Thank you, JR. And thank you, Dylan. And thank you, Logan. My thoughts on 2023, 10-3 and a Sun Bowl trophy just does not cut it. And I'm not greedy. I'm not greedy at all. I just know what we could have been this year and what we should have been this year, and it's frustrating. These guys deserve the college football playoff at most, and at least a New Year's Six Bowl. And instead got a December 29th, Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock CBS bowl game that 7-5 Notre Dame in 2010 competed in and won against Miami. A 7-5 2010 Notre Dame team against a 9-3 2023 Notre Dame team. It's not good enough. It was a fun season to watch. It was a very, very fun season to watch, I will say. I love college football. I live and breathe for the sport. It's getting interesting. Now, I am really looking forward to 2024. I have some big expectations, especially with the 12-team playoff format. And as of the eye test right now, a very winnable schedule that should be 11-0 right now. Obviously, we're going to add a game here soon, but 11-0 should be the expectation from the eye test. And I'm blind out of my right eye, so I am using my left eye to see this eye test. Now, with that being said, 2019 Notre Dame, they went 11-2 with losses at Georgia and at Michigan and finished outside of the top 15 and went to the Camping World Bowl. With a lot easier schedule in 2024, one loss may prove to be pivotal for the Fighting Irish in 2024, Logan.
Sorry, working was calling. So, expectation for 2024.
Well, what I said was in 2019, Notre Dame went 11-2. They lost at Georgia, at Michigan, and finished outside of the top 15 with an 11-2 record. One loss with an easier schedule this upcoming season than it was in 2019. That might boot us out of the top 15.
Yes, I would agree. Sorry, just got a complaint from a parent. We love parents in athletics. Don't know if you deal with that, JR.
I do.
So, one big thing for next year is what I was going to say after JR's nice little rant. You talk about Marcus's record and we go and compare him with BK. I would say that game in College Station is the biggest game of his Notre Dame tenure. Because one loss with a weak schedule, that doesn't guarantee a top 12 win. And I think you would agree. We kind of talked about it last night. You have to get that one, in my opinion. And, you have to be undefeated at home. Can you lose one? I mean, excuse me, it just depends on where Florida State ends up, and it depends. Louisville, we have Louisville at home. Where do they stand? We beat USC, and then they end up going 7-5. What's USC going to look like next year? I think all that matters, but that College Station game, by far, if you win that one, you're in good shape.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Don't count out the Purdue game as well. So, with that being said, we could host a playoff game in 2024, which I would love to see that. Now, we would have to be in the top 5 through 5, 6, 7, or 8 in order to host. So I want to see that. So what's next for us here at the Golden Domers Report? We're going to do a once-a-month show, either all of us or just a couple of us or one of us. A once-a-month show, check in, see how things are going with recruiting, looking ahead, see other news in the college football world. And our goal next year, the biggest goal for Golden Domers Report next year, is a Golden Domers Report road trip. I really want, that's the goal next year, to get to a road game, which it would have to be Purdue, because I'm not sure, nobody is going to travel over 200, 300 miles. So Purdue might be the one for a live show. However, we will wait for that until next year.
By Samaja, inside the 20, inside the 10, he's going in! Notre Dame has scored!
Go, 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 go!
You will be that driving force to motivate those coaches and those players to beat Southern Cal.
Notre Dame is relevant again.
The 20, the 10, fire, rocket, touchdown!
Notre Dame is number 1.
It's a game of who's going to flinch first. We know that it won't be Notre Dame.